Mom, I'm bored. There's nothing to do. Can't we just watch TV? This is a cry heard in my house, and I'm sure in many others. Boredom is an emotion that has taken on a very negative connotation. We as parents feel that we must do whatever we can to keep our children free from boredom. We must feel we must play with and entertain our kids with learning activities, extramurals, screen time, and structured play. If we don't, we feel guilty that we are not giving them the experience of a fulfilling childhood. However, did you know that new research says that boredom is in fact good for our kids? That we may be wrong in feeling that it is our job to fill our children's lives with meaning and memorable moments. What Manoush Saramodi discovered about neuroscience of boredom is amazing. She says that when we are bored, we ignite a network in our brains called the default mode. So although we are on autopilot, our brains are hard at work. When we're in this mode, we are more able to make different connections in our brains, connections that we might not usually make. Thus, the bored brain is a creative brain. Cindy Foley believes that children can learn three important things from boredom: wonder and curiosity, collaboration and negotiating of ideas, and experimentation. All of these things are the characteristics of creative people. I discovered this to be true when I did a small experiment in my classroom this week. I decided to take away all the provocations that I would usually set up on the tables in our classroom. I put everything into the shelves so the children would have access to it, but it wouldn't be obvious. I was trying to see what children would do when faced with a blank slate. At first, the children asked me to entertain them by reading books. Instead, I encouraged them to read their own books. This led to a lot of curiosity about books in our reading corner, and many children came in and out and read books to themselves. The next thing to happen was that one little girl came in and stared at the shelves with all the toys on them. I asked her if she would like to play. She looked thoughtfully and said, "Trains." So I told her to go ahead. What came next was a very elaborate game of trains and track building. At first it was just her, but then other children came to join her and collaboration and negotiation started. This also led to experimentation. Another important thing that happens during boredom is that we get used to spending time with ourselves. Our children need the opportunity to be alone with themselves, to learn that they can be enough. Dr. Jeter says that in the silence of boredom, children smile to themselves and say, "I like myself. I enjoy my own company." This is very important for self-esteem. Children who are constantly bombarded with external stimuluses begin to feel that they are in fact not enough. That, as Nancy Collier puts it, without something added to themselves, they are nothing. Boredom allows children to experience autonomy and control, to think their own thoughts and choose their own path. Will we allow them the freedom to get bored, to create, plan, and execute their own ideas, to be given time for totally unstructured play? Do we believe that children are protagonists in their own learning and that they are capable, curious, and creative? Loris Malaguzzi said that we must credit the child with enormous potential, and the child must feel that trust. Are we giving them the freedom to come up with their own ways of doing and being? After all this, we may discover that our job is in fact to foster creativity and imagination. Nancy Collier says it best when she says that we do this in large part by giving these skills, which are in seed form when our children are young, the chance to play, evolve, do their work, and become. Boredom is the water for these seeds. So after talking to some of the staff at Small World today, I've decided to add a little piece to my blog. In my home, we had to learn that boredom was not a bad thing. My children have to be reminded that boredom is an opportunity and not a punishment. And I have to be reminded of this as well, because I feel guilty that I'm not playing with them, feel that I should be playing with them, or that I should be fixing the problem for them. And then I remember that boredom is a good thing. I continue to persevere because I know that I have left them with resources that they can choose from. Eventually, after about half an hour, they overcome their own inertia, and bam, a creative game is formed. And the best part is that it usually involves all three of my children. We are by no means perfect, and often fights ensue, but where I felt guilt before, I now feel justified in my resolution to let them find their own way into play. Thank you for listening.